call myself bisexual because I acknowledge that I have in myself the potential to be attracted romantically and or sexually to people of more than one sex and or gender, not necessarily at the same time, not necessarily in the same way, and not necessarily to the same degree. Hey guys, so this is going to be a follow-up video to my coming out / bisexuality video. If you have not seen that, you might be very shocked right now, but go ahead and watch that first before you watch this, and you'll kind of get caught up with everything. But I wanted to answer a lot of your questions because you guys had some really good questions and comments. So,
what does bisexuality mean, like, to you?
I've been asked this question before in a not so welcoming way. So for me, in my experience, bisexuality means that in my lifetime I have been attracted to romantically, sexually, physically, emotionally, both women and men in different ways. For me, it's been completely different ways. And just because they were different didn't mean one was necessarily more valid than the other.
When did you start questioning sexuality, and did you tell anyone?
I remember being about 12 or 13 years old. I was watching some movie, and I felt a bizarre attraction to Michelle Pfeiffer. 13, what can I say? You know, she was the first one. And it was different than before. I knew it was not like, oh wow, I really look up to her and like her as an actress. It was like, she's really pretty. That was the first time, but I wrote it off as just being weird and, you know, overly sexual. I didn't tell anyone I was having these thoughts until probably 10 years later when I brought it up and said I used to wonder if I was gay, but really the truth was I still sometimes wonder. But it was confusing because I had crushes on boys as well, and so I didn't know what was going on with me. I just thought that I had some sin that I needed to ask forgiveness for.
How do you deal with people who act like sexuality is a choice and not just who you are?
I mean, to me it's just so obviously not. Like, I think growing up, if I had a choice, it would have been to be straight, because I was so scared that I was going to go to hell. And so just for me, knowing the journey that I've been on to get to a place of loving myself for all of myself and coming to terms with my sexuality and the progress I've made, I just honestly, that doesn't really bother me. I changed my mind on the fact that it was a choice before I even came to terms with my own sexuality, because I have a family member who was gay, and he died some years ago. And I remember hearing that he used to say, I'm so depressed and I wish I wasn't gay. I just wish I could be straight. That really impacted me, because I was like, how on earth could someone choose to be something that makes them feel like they're unloved? Like, why would someone choose that? He obviously seems to be struggling. I think it's important to say that not all queer people, LGBTQ people, are miserable and sad and living depressing lives. I mean, first of all, I'm an example. Like, I am really, really happy. I've found more freedom and joy and peace after coming out and accepting myself than I ever had before. And I think the thing that was so confusing as well on this journey and trying to come out of my Christian upbringing was realizing that there are so many LGBTQ people who are happy, undeniably loving and non-judgmental and accepting, and also say that they are Christian and believe in God and feel that they have a relationship and connection with God. And that blew my mind, because I was like, no, like that's impossible. It's a binary. Like, you're either gay and an atheist and hate God and the church and Christians, or you're a Christian. I just want to point out and be very clear that in my experience, when LGBTQ people are depressed or living sad lives, I feel that is largely because of the community around them telling them that they're not lovable or accepted by God or accepted by a larger community or living fulfilling, beautiful lives. I really don't think that has anything to do with the nature of sexuality. I think it has everything to do with the people that tell them that they're not good.
As someone who's recently out, how do you deal with internalized biphobia and parts of society that tell you being bi is dirty or wrong?
This was the entire reason why I had such a hard time accepting my bisexuality, is because of the over-sexualization and the fetishization. That is such a hard word for me. Fetishization. And the fetishization of bi people. That is still a hard one for me, and now that I am out and I don't have nearly as much shame over sexuality or being bi, I see it so much in our culture, in pop culture, in music and TV, and I felt ashamed of myself. I see how that has been so damaging for me, and not even my sexuality, but my relationship with being a sexual being, like as a human being biologically. It just made me kind of reject anything to do with that, which is so unhealthy. But I just think if I could be a part of this in any way, to just show like there are very like average, normal, somewhat boring bisexual people in the world who the most wild and crazy they'll get is like they'll go to a bar and have a drink at like 10 p.m. and then they'll come home and like watch Netflix and like maybe they'll have a glass of wine in bed. Oh. I couldn't accept myself as being bisexual because I didn't fit in with what I thought bisexuality was, and I didn't want to be any part of it, because I'm very much a person who wants to be in a relationship with one person. I have never been one to sleep around or even really date that much, and so, I just think that our society needs to do a better job of normalizing bisexual people, and I hope to be a part of that. Before I came out as bisexual or even realized that I was bisexual, I had 2 long-term relationships with men, and I thought I was straight. I was like, I'm straight, I'm totally straight. So I didn't really struggle with that, with feeling like, oh, now people think I'm straight because I'm dating a guy. But I do feel now, after coming out, that if like after I'd come out, I had started dating a guy, I feel like people would have been maybe confused. What I have experienced now, because I am in a relationship with a woman, Tori, I, like, especially like in the comment section of my bisexuality video, you're a lesbian, is she a lesbian now? She's a lesbian. And like I just feel like, I'm like, you guys aren't leaving, there's no room for like the complexity of me. I've had a hard time sometimes in circles with straight people talking about my attractions or crushes on women, and then I've had similar awkward feelings and uncomfortable feelings in settings with gay and lesbian people talking about my attractions to men. And I don't know if that's just me, but I don't feel like it is, because I've seen a lot of people comment in the bisexual community that there's this kind of pressure to pick a side, and I almost feel like less valid or less believed. I guess just the fact that I'm attracted to both and I can't just pick one. And so I do definitely feel that. And I do feel like if I was to date a man, my bisexuality would be, I guess, erased and not believed, or people would say, oh, well, finally, that was just a phase. I mean, I've definitely gotten that from family members, like, oh, like, this is just a phase, and I think they're just secretly hoping I'm gonna pick a guy. Sorry. There's also the feeling that you have to be constantly coming out to people based on who you're dating or who you're attracted to. Like, oh, I didn't know you were gay. Well, I'm not. So it's definitely more complex.
What, if anything, has changed about how you envision your future since you discovered and come to terms with your bisexual identity?
Oh my gosh. My future in my mind is so much unknown. And it's not like I actually knew what was going to happen in my life, but I definitely had a plan and an idea. I would marry a man and I would have kids and no one would question it and it'd be great. And I have to think about all these things I've never had to think about before. The possibility of being with a woman and marrying a woman and what that means in my family, what that means as a public person, and what that means just about everything, because there are no rules that I know of, at least, for same-sex couples, and that honestly is very freeing, but also a little bit scary, because I'm someone who likes to know what to expect, and I don't really know what to expect when it comes to a relationship with a woman, especially long-term, especially forever, in regards to, children. There are no expectations. The gender role thing is so different, and so I think it's taken me a while to, I guess, mourn the expectation of what I thought my life was going to look like, and allow myself to be open to, honestly, anything happening. And that's been, for me, probably the best, most healthy thing that I could experience. So I'm really grateful for that, actually.
That's great.
So I became sure, I guess, about my bisexuality about a year ago now. And it took me a while because I was so scared to claim any sort of identity. And I don't really remember even why I was so scared to do so. I think I was just not comfortable with saying I was bisexual because of all of the preconceived ideas I had about bisexual people and what that meant about me. It was scary, and so I used to just say, well, I'm like, maybe like 25% gay, but what does that mean? And and that means I'm bisexual, according to the definition. And I think just coming to the understanding that honestly, as much as it matters, it also doesn't. And I think just whatever you are comfortable with works. I don't think anyone can tell you what you are. I think you just have to say, I feel comfortable and it resonates with me identifying as bisexual or trans or lesbian or queer or pansexual or any of the other sexualities. When I read that definition that I read at the top of this vlog, I realized that resonated most with me, and so that's just how I knew. So how do you determine whether you are in a safe environment to come out and who are safe people to come out to? I think this is a very important thing to know before you come out. I was fortunate enough to be completely independent on my own, paying my own bills, self-sufficient, and so I felt like I was in a very safe place to come out. I had to be sure that I was completely accepting and okay with my value as a person before I told other people, because I didn't want their opinions or views or responses to me about my sexuality to change how I felt about myself and my worth. So I had to make sure I was okay with myself before I came out to other people. That, in my opinion, is important. Go through that with a therapist or someone who's licensed to give you professional help and advice. But I think across the board, just how to tell if someone is a safe person, oh gosh, that takes a lot of time. There's no, how-to. A lot of time helps build a lot of trust, and you will know that someone is ready to hear your story if you feel that they will love you no matter what, and you know that through time and their actions. In regards to family, it's hard, and I've had to, figure this out, but it's family, and so because it has the title family on it, you're like, well, I should tell them everything. They are kind of entitled to my my love and my life and everything that's going on. And I have learned that that's not true. Your family are still human beings who need to earn trust and a place in your life to hear things like this that are heavy and important. So I think just as much as the friends and people in your life like that need to earn your trust, I think your family needs to earn that as well. You need to make sure you're in a place where you're safe, where you're not going to get kicked out of the house to live, on the streets or try to figure that out. I think it's important that you're not going to be abused. I'm just thinking back to my life, and I don't know if I would have come out to my parents had I known at the time, just because I wasn't sure how that would be. Sometimes the safest there may only be one safe person for you in your life, and maybe you need to just start with that person.
What do you do to overcome fear regarding your sexuality?
My entire, childhood and adolescent years up until somewhat recently was just fear. Just so much fear about sexuality, about being gross, about going to hell. Gosh, for me, I had to, it took a lot of work. It just took being curious enough to ask the questions about myself. That was probably the scariest thing to do, was to start asking questions, because I just lived with this kind of heavy secret for most of my life that I didn't want anyone to know about. And then when I started to finally be brave enough to address it, then everything just kind of snowballed.
What have been the best parts of coming out, and what have been the challenges?
There have been so many amazing things about coming out. So many. I have been introduced to a community of people who honestly have been the most accepting and welcoming and loving and fun community of people that I've ever met, especially online. I've never really found an online community, which is weird being an internet person, but I feel that the community in the LGBTQ world has been wonderful and very much embracing of me, and it's been so cool. Also, just people are coming out to me because of the video that I posted and telling me that my coming out story really helped them come to terms with theirs, and that has just been so incredible and amazing and everything I could hope for. Also, I feel so much more free. That might be cliche, but I do. I just feel like there is no pressure to be what I think people think I should be. And I'm, working through that still every single day, just trying to live in my truth and show up exactly as I am. The challenges, there have been a lot of challenges. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to be really transparent with you guys. I lost my music manager when I came out, and it was because I came out publicly. That was really hard, and I felt really alone, and I felt really afraid because I was in a new city and a new place with a whole new team, and to feel just completely like someone just flipped a switch on me because I was going to associate myself with the LGBTQ community publicly. It was shocking, and it was heartbreaking, and it was really difficult. But I was able to push through that and honestly find so much solidarity and wonderful people who have helped me since then. Also, it's been really hard with my family. It just has. I'm not going to go into any details, but it's been hard. It's been challenging. But, the world is moving in such a positive, inclusive, loving, and compassionate place. And I think that if you look for it, you will find reminders of that every day.
Great. That was awesome.
I think, honestly, I do feel like the fact that I am now fully known to you and to the people in my life, I feel that opens a lot of doors for writing and art and making art that is more true and more vulnerable than I ever have before. But if I'm being completely honest with you, it's really scary. I've never written a love song about a same-sex relationship I've been in, and it's uncomfortable for me because I've never done it before, and because it feels so, it's so weird. It's weird that this is my reality now. But I think that is amazing because it's pushing me to take the authenticity and vulnerability that I am giving to you in my vlogs and put it into my music. It's definitely been a challenge, but it's been exciting to know that now I can just be.
And then this is the last question.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Marta. I don't know much about Tori. You want to talk, but I just want to know how it happened or something.
So Marta, hi. I know y'all are curious. Yes, I'm in a relationship. Yes, I am dating the girl behind the camera. What's up, guys?
Wait, hold on. Let me put it in focus.
Yeah,
peace.
Peace out, man. It's so cool. Honestly, I'm gonna make a different vlog about this, going into detail, and I'm just telling Tori about this now. But I just decided, I'm like, we might as well do it. We might as well tell people about our story. I think that's exciting. Long story short, we both came to terms with our own sexuality at our own time, and it was actually really like at the same exact time, but it was separately from each other. And then, you know, it just really made all the sense in the world. And so,
yeah. More on that later.
But yeah, I know a lot of you had questions on faith and sexuality, and I am going to be doing a part 2 of this vlog coming out very soon, so make sure you head on over and check that out when it comes out, and check out my music on Spotify, always releasing new stuff. And I love you guys, and thank you so much for your questions. I'm so happy to be a part of this conversation, and I'm happy to bring you into it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and go love people and go love yourself. Bye.